with the Broncos going into their bye this week, I felt like today would be a good chance to kind of run through some changes I'd like to see Denver make coming out of the bye, because they sit at 3-5 right now, which might not look like a team that's about to go on a run, but they've won 2 in a row and they have looked way better than they did at the start of the year. So let's talk about the remaining schedule just for a brief moment, and then we'll get into some of the changes I want to see Denver make. When they come out of the bye, they go to Buffalo and take on the Bills, the 5-3 Buffalo Bills, on Monday Night Football. As of now, they are scheduled to play the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, but that might change if Jaren Hall is not looking too good the next 2 weeks or so. And then they've got the Browns at home. They go to Houston. They go to the Chargers for a first game with LA. They go to Detroit. They have the Patriots on Christmas Eve. They have the Chargers at home, and they end the season at Las Vegas. So they've got some tough games coming up, no doubt about it, right? 2 games against the Chargers, the Lions, the Bills. I mean, there are not gimme games out there for this 3-5 squad to easily turn it around. If I want to make a path for the Broncos to get to the playoffs, I would say this: just try and stay afloat and be 7-7 going into those last 3 weeks against the Patriots, which should be a very winnable game, the Chargers at home, which they took care of last year, and the Raiders, who are a complete dumpster fire, although unfortunately Las Vegas has had Denver's number ever since the move. Now, if you can stay at 7-7 going into that final stretch, one, I think you played a lot of good football up to that point, right? You're sitting at 3-5. We're talking about going 4-2 over the next 6 games. And then 2, you've got 3 very beatable teams that if you just go 2-1 in that stretch, 9-8 got the Miami Dolphins into the playoffs last year. It could get Denver in as well. So let me know, will the Broncos get in the hunt? At 3-5, I would not say they are in the hunt right now. Maybe technically they are because they're not mathematically eliminated, but they don't give me in the hunt vibes. I think you got to be 500 or 1 game behind to really be in the hunt. So let me know yes or no before we get into the 5 changes I've got outlined for Sean Payton and the boys. Now, so let's run through some of those 5 changes I've got for the Broncos. And starting off with, I think, a pretty routine one. Run the dang football. Run the damn ball, Sean. Right? We went into the season thinking this is going to be a run-first team. They've spent a lot of money on the offensive line. They signed a nice blocking tight end in Chris Manhertz. They don't want to have Russell Wilson throw it as much as he did last year. But then the season started, and they didn't do that. However, they have changed as of late, and I want to see that change continue. Look at Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin's stats through the first 4 weeks of the season compared to the previous 4 weeks. They go from getting 51 carries and averaging 4.5 yards a pop to getting 77 carries and averaging 5.1 yards a pop. A major increase in the yardage, in the overall usage, and I think it is a reason why this team is 2-0 in their last 2 weeks. This is a run-first team. Stick to it. I'm not quite sure why they went away from it to start the year, or why they never started the season by running the football that way. But Mike McGlinchey, who he's going to get an earful in a little bit, has been much better in run blocking than pass protection. So lean into your strengths. And what is your strength? Running the ball, right? Get Javonte Williams really cooking, as he looks to be 100% and an absolute menace and a bowling ball to bring down. Highlight reel Jaleel is an amazing change of pace back for Denver. And Russell Wilson is just not designed to drop back and throw it 35 times. You got to get him on the move. You got to get the defense on their heels, make it unpredictable, and that will open up some of the moon ball shots we saw in Seattle. Now, speaking of the moon ball shots, that brings me to the second change I'd like to see Denver make. More of Marvin Mims. We got a good dosage of the rookie from Oklahoma early in the year, and then they kind of went away from him. Let's go back to Marvin Mims. Can we please do that? Because Marvin Mims is an electric factory. He averages 22.5 yards per reception this year. He had a big touchdown grab back in the Commanders game. 11 receptions for 246 total yards. Let's get Marvin Mims more involved offensively. I don't say this because the rest of the wide receivers suck. No, Courtland Sutton has been great. Jerry Jeudy just caught his first touchdown. He's heating up. But Marvin Mims gives you explosive plays. And that's what you want to see for a team that's 3-5 trying to turn it around. You need big plays, right? You need people out of their seats. You need must-see TV. Marvin Mims can bring that to the game. The Broncos have 22 passing plays of over 20 yards this year. That's 19th in the NFL. There are a lot worse teams, but they're not even top half, right? We're talking back of the middle of the pack. Insert Marvin Mims. Get a little bit of a boost. Because the last thing I want to see is, I want to see them run the football, no doubt about that. But I don't want to see the offense become so predictable that for a team that's 3-5 and desperately needs to win more games than they lose, opposing defenses go into the week thinking, well, Denver's going to run the ball, we're going to make it ugly at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to see who wins over 4 quarters in the trenches. And that's not a spot that Denver has fared very well in. So you can alleviate some of that pressure by opening up the deep shot to Marvin Mims. Now, thanks to our sponsor for today's show, Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. So if you're trying to catch an upcoming Broncos game, or say an Avs or Nuggets game, or any other sporting event in your area, Game Time is the place to visit first. What I love about Game Time specifically is if you're trying to do like a spur-of-the-moment boys trip of, hey, tickets are kind of cheap for the Broncos game tomorrow, let's go. Well, with Game Time, they give you the absolute peace of mind of getting the best price and lowest price guaranteed. Plus, when you use our promo code BroncosChat, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code BroncosChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem the code BroncosChat for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Remember when I said I was going to give Mike McGlinchey an earful? Well, that's this part of the show, because Mike McGlinchey has been a bust, I would say. Maybe not a huge bust, but a bust as far as an $87.5 million right tackle goes. Look at his PFF grades through the first half of the year. He's ranking, what is that? Technically bottom half of tackles, 48 out of 75. Not a math guy, just a wannabe Big J over here. Overall grade, 59.3. Pass blocking grade, 55.4. That's why he has 31 pressures allowed, according to PFF, 5 sacks. He's been penalized 7 times. Run blocking is better, but that doesn't matter if you're constantly letting your your quarterback, former star, wannabe star now, quarterback get harassed. McGlinchey, I will give him credit, has improved recently. He hasn't been an absolute deer in headlights in a point where you're like, hey, do we have to actually have a conversation about benching Mike McGlinchey? Because they were not going to get to that point this quick into an $87.5 million contract. But if Mike McGlinchey was just like Cam Fleming, a 1-year, $3 million contract, I don't think he would continue. I don't think he would still be starting. So if you want to help Mike McGlinchey out, which this team should do, throw a tight end his way, right? Stick a running back on that side. Give him some assistance to kind of slow down the pass rush. Because the word is out. Mike McGlinchey is a turnstile. Let's just like slow the water down. You know those videos of like very pleasing unclogging of drains? We need to put all that gunk back in. Because right now, all the water's coming through on the right side. Now, if you want to keep the good times rolling, by the way, as Denver has won 2 in a row, make sure to subscribe so we can get more videos out on the channel. Maybe some more wins for the boys. You never quite know. Moving on to my 4th change for Denver coming out of the bye, better defensive line play. I don't have the answer for this question, but the question is, does Denver have the worst defensive line in football? And they are trending that direction. The solution is up to the coaching staff, but there needs to be an improvement. That is the bottom line here. After Zach Allen, look at the PFF ranks. DJ Jones, thankfully not a bottom half defensive tackle, but still not even a top 50 guy for a player who signed a nice contract coming over from San Francisco. Jonathan Harris and Mike Purcell are borderline unplayable. Like, they started with Harris, and then they kind of went to Purcell, and now they're kind of going back to Jonathan Harris. because neither guy is really working on the defensive line, okay? And there's not really a better option. Like Elijah Garcia was great in the preseason, earned a roster spot, but this is the point of the season when you kind of remember, oh yeah, preseason is just that, preseason. Everyone can look like a hero going up against guys who work at Walmart in October. Keandre Coburn, who they signed from the Chiefs after he was released, haven't seen much of him. And then Matt Henningsen, the second-year player from Wisconsin, has been loosely in the rotation, but he has not come in and delivered much of a punch. Here's my fear. The second half of the year in the NFL season is one in the trenches. As we get into November and December and the temperature starts to drop, the wind might start picking up, there's snow on the field, it's a little bit more difficult to pass the ball compared to when it was nice and sunny and 75 in September. And so if teams are going to start running the ball more in the second half of the year, which they do, Denver might get beat up up front. And that is a major concern because when you're at 3-5, you don't have any wiggle room, right? You don't have much slack to go like, oh, we lost this game because of our run defense, but we're going to get it back. Now, Denver's got the worst run defense in the NFL right now. That needs to turn around at 3-5 if they want to actually make a serious push to get to the playoffs. Fifth and final change, I'm actually going to break the rules here a little bit. It's not much of a change. It's actually a change they've already made that I just want to see them continue. And that is sticking with Jaquan McMillian and Fabian Moreau at cornerback. Essang Bassey, who was filling in for K'Wan Williams, who I think is just gone for the rest of the season at this rate. And then Fabian Moreau taking over from Damari Mathis has been a dramatic improvement on the back end. Look at Jaquan McMillian's stats this year. He came up with that interception, jumping the route in front of Travis Kelce against the Chiefs last Sunday, 2 pass breakups, 5 tackles for loss, and 23 tackles after taking over after a few weeks from Essang Bassey. So he's been outstanding working in the slot. I think he's been more of what Denver wanted, say like from Bryce Callahan a few years ago, than they ever really got from Callahan. Unfortunately, injuries were a major factor for that. But the other guy they made, and the other change they made in the secondary was moving on from Damari Mathis as a starting CB2 in favor of Fabian Moreau, who has been much better. Like I can't quite say he's been great, but he's been an improvement. And that's just a starting point. And hopefully as he gets a little bit more reps in, some more repetition, some more playing time, some more experience and whatnot, as a veteran himself already, but at least this season, he's going to get into a better rhythm with this defense. Now, another big part of the recent change defensively has been the addition by subtraction, right? Moving on from Frank Clark and Randy Gregory has improved this pass rush because that's paved the way for Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper to get on the field more. Nick Bonito looked like a potential second-round bust after redshirting his freshman year. He's already got to 5.5 sacks this season. Jonathan Cooper, a 7th-round pick, might be the most consistent player on this defensive line from the pass rushing standpoint at 4.5 sacks and 39 tackles. And Baron Browning only just came back after getting knee surgery back in March, and he packed a punch the first few games, right? Didn't register a sack that first game back, but only played 20 snaps and still generated a handful of pressures, and he's now up to 2 sacks on the year. So the changes Denver has made from a secondary standpoint and a pass rushing standpoint are working. Continue those changes. So, how many wins for the Broncos this season? Before I let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day, I remember predicting 9-8 to start the year. That looked dead in the water at one point. But now at 3-5, it's looking better. I'm not so high on the Broncos playoff Kool-Aid as other people are. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be optimistic and all, but I'm still going to remember this team started 1-5, and I think getting to 9 wins feels like too big of an ask at this point. So I'll say Denver wins 7 games this season. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, consider liking the video, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff, and we'll see you all later.